Now this is Maryann Measles, and she died at the age of 13 at the hands of 8 other people. People who were older than her and who she considered to be friends at one stage. And the death and the murder and everything around it was absolutely horrific what happened to Maryann. And I have got an earlier video, the one just before this one, that tells you the exact story of what happened to Maryann Measles. Now recently I've become aware of this case, and I literally looked up what was going on TikTok to see what other people were saying about the crime. I'd never heard of this case before, which I'm surprised about because I've followed true crime for such a long time. I stumbled across family members of Maryann who were trying to get justice on TikTok, so I started watching some of the videos. That led me to connect to Maryann's sister Jennifer, who's on here. And I went to her page and I started looking at some of her videos. And I was really confused at first, but then really sad to see that despite the trauma and years of being re-traumatized through the court process and the system of, these killers being up for parole hearings and all the rest of it, and the new laws coming in that affects things in the system, despite them having to go through that, they have another battle they're facing right now. And this is due to the fact that another family member, and in this case it is Maryann's younger sister, is actually choosing to put out misinformation and lies in regards to not only Maryann's murder, but her family situation leading up to that murder. She has, from what I can see from an outsider looking in, she has posted a few videos about her sister online, being as the true crime community is so big. Those videos have done well, they've gone viral, she's got a lot of attention from it. So now she's started to come out with some other things, and she's just rising the bar on how much more sympathy she can get by adding all these details that aren't particularly true. Now I've done my research on this, and I've spoke to several people, both from the family, from the local area, people who knew not only Maryann but her mother Cynthia, her other sisters Jennifer and Chelsea, and every single other person who knows the family or knew Maryann has a completely different story than this sister is telling online. Now, anyone who follows me on TikTok knows I do my research, okay? I don't just randomly pull these cases out. I look into both sides of the cases. When I'm told a certain thing, I'll look at that person, I'll see what they actually are posting. And I seriously did look into the other sister's claims, and I'm not going to name her in this video just because I don't want you going to research her stuff and giving her more traction to run with more lies. From what I can work out, there's been certain resentments that have built up over time because Maryann remains such a huge presence in her mum's life, and a lot of Cynthia's time is put into fighting for justice for Maryann. And as with any family member that passes way too early or in tragic situations, they become almost immortalised in your house, and everything becomes about them, and so it should do. I mean, Maryann was 13, she didn't get to live an adult life, she didn't get to find her feet or have children or grow into the adult she would have become. Her life was taken far too soon. And if you listen to Jennifer or Cynthia or Chelsea or Linda or Aunt talk about her, you just know that she holds a bigger part in their lives today as she ever did. Unfortunately, this other sister who is online, and I'll just name her as Victoria because she goes by a different name on TikTok anyway. So Victoria's kind of twisted the narrative, and she's turned Cynthia's love for her daughter and her absolute efforts for justice into a neglect of her other children, which when I've spoke to the other children, that's not true either. She has remained a good mum, and obviously there's been times she struggled. Anybody knows, and you don't have to be in the situation to know, that having to bury a child is not the natural order of things. But having to bury a child who was brutalised in the way that Maryann was is something you cannot expect a mother to ever get over. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Cynthia lives that every day. Okay, 1 second. Now, as well as having the guilt that any parent would feel over life choices, things you missed, red flags you should have seen, that any mother feels in any situation. You know, if you're a parent and you're listening to this, you know what I mean. There are times when I think, should I have said that? Should I have not said that? Should I have put her to bed earlier? Should I have done this? Should I have done, you know, we all do it. So when you lose a child in this way, I imagine there are certain things that Cynthia says to herself every day. But from looking at the case, Maryann was very happy at home. She wasn't a runaway. She wasn't afraid to talk to her mother, discuss things with her mother. Her mum was always the first person she went to. So to now have found that Victoria is online peddling these lies and twisting the narrative of what happened to her sister, it's absolutely re-traumatizing, not only the sisters but Cynthia in this situation, because they're having to constantly go online, in the media, in the local town, and constantly be, you know, fighting for justice for themselves now, because they have to try and clear their name to keep it straight in people's heads of what happened to Maryann, how it happened, how, you know, other people can learn from it and avoid it in their own lives. And they really shouldn't be having to do that. I don't think I've ever come across a case where the person who's turning on the victim's family comes from within that family, and I've just found it really, really shocking. Now, Victoria's obviously using this whole situation and the followers online to get people to sign up to a Patreon, in which she's charging, I think it's 197 UK pounds a month. I've never seen a Patreon cost that much money for anything. She's got Amazon gift lists, she's got a Cash App, a Vimo, a PayPal, and she's just offering to people all the time all of these ways to pay her. But the content she's making is about Maryann. So she's making money out of this situation all the time. And when she runs out of things to say, she then makes up another lie, and it's normally something awful about Cynthia. And it's just got to this stage where it's heartbreaking. There's more parole hearings coming up. The family are trying to steel themselves for that, and what they're going to say and how they're going to feel and how they're going to fight in the court system. And now they're having to try and clear their names at the same time. I just want them to know, Cynthia, Chelsea, Jennifer, Linda, here on Comic Crime, we support you 100%. If there's anything you need from us, just let us know. We're so sorry you're having to go through this, but we do have your back.